Hello, Helen. What, me very
Yeah.
Am I doing the spaniel bit?
Yeah.
On the red sofa.
On the red sofa. Ready? Oh, take my glasses off.
Oh, this is what she really looks like without glasses.
Ta-da. Okay. Hello and welcome to the red sofa. So before we went on camera, Penny and I have been talking about Out of the Ashes ministry and how it's started and how it's now evolving. So I'm going to hand you over to Penny to elaborate.
To waffle.
To elaborate.
To waffle. When Out of the Ashes started, our first album, which was 6 years ago now, The Garden, when we kind of produced that album, we really didn't know what we were doing. And it was during the course of that album that we started to realise what God was doing with us. And it seemed to be that our audience was 50 plus, 50 years old plus, had a sense of ageing and maybe had some stress being induced by that. And we found that we were starting to talk to people about that. Second album comes along, we feel we know what we're doing. And then it becomes apparent that our audience is actually 30 years plus, who are just starting to become aware that ageing is a thing. And at sort of 30, 35, 40, you can start feeling, okay, if I was made redundant tomorrow, what would happen? Or you can have a serious confidence knock, either from a failed marriage or for a trauma in your life, or simply from being made redundant and thinking, where next? Or having trained for a job and realising you hate that job, which happens to an awful lot of people. So that can undermine confidence. So we thought, okay, that's what we're doing. But then God has this way of, he keeps showing you more and more and more about what he wants you to do. And the next thing, we were invited to play in a Costa Coffee one Sunday night. And we kind of thought, Costa Coffee, those are, Sunday night lives are 18 to sort of 25, 26-year-old, all with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or hot chocolate, my thing, in front of them. How's this going to go with us, bunch of old fogies that turn up to play? And we were delightedly surprised because we found that these youngsters thought we were cool, which
we are.
I've never been cool in my life.
Well, we are now.
Oh, okay. So, and I remember a young chap came up to me in the break and he said, "This is brilliant, this is so cool." And I kind of went, "Thank you very much. It's very nice of you." And he said, "It's kind of retro, isn't it?" And I said, "Well, yeah, do you know why we're kind of retro?" And he said, "No, what?" And I said, "It's because we're old."
Yeah, we are retro.
We are old. We this is the music from our life. You're just seeing it again. And that made me really start thinking, this is interesting. What's happening here? And then James, my son, came back from school one day and they'd had Age UK, had gone into school. So is it PHSE?
Yes.
PHSE?
Yeah.
I don't know what it stands for. Personal
social. I should know this.
Health, something.
And
education.
That's
That
it.
one.
Got there.
Any order, say those
Yeah.
words in and you've kind of got sense. And the first question this bunch of 13 and 14-year-olds were asked as the Age UK group. Oh, first of all, who the Age UK group was. An 85-year-old, an 80-year-old and a 75-year-old. And the 85-year-old had just done her first parachute jump. And so they were very gung-ho, these three.
They were cool.
How old do you feel old is, they said. And the kids they didn't have to think about it. It was an instant answer. There were no parents there that they were worried about offending. So it was a very quick answer. Old is when you're 30. Really old is 35. They were
Wow.
absolutely sure of themselves.
Blimey.
Now, we laugh about that because it is actually quite funny. Because when you get to 50 and 60 and 70, you sort of think, really?
Yeah.
30? You thought that was old? But the truth is that when you're 30, it's the oldest you've ever been. It is a lie that is spoken over us that we're old, that we're running out of time, we're running out of energy, we're running out of cool, we're running out of whatever it is we feel we want to hold on to.
Yeah.
It's a lie. The truth is, if you view your life with the expectation perhaps you'll reach 95, 100, whatever, and you realise that when you get to 95, 100, whatever, 40 is going to look really young, 50 is going to look really young, 60 is going to look really young. And you can actually view your life the whole way that way. Now, with that in mind, we've got our 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, up to 25, hugely stressed. Do you know 25% of girls self-harm in one way or another? That is a horrific statistic.
Yeah.
Suicide rate, the highest group of suicides is 15 to 25 year olds.
Boys as well.
Is it boys as
Yeah.
well? There is so much self-abuse going on in the form of stressed kids. And the thing is, they think they've got it all to do before they're 30. There is such a serious side to this. They feel they've got to have achieved, they've got to have got married, had sex, tried everything, done all the drugs they want to do. They've got to have experienced everything, and they've got to be beautiful and successful and look cool to their friends. And they've got to do it all before they're 30.
Yeah, lots of pressure.
Such a huge amount of pressure. Very visual pressure because of social media. I think social media is just part of the problem, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it's a big issue.
It's a very big issue. But there's also the fact that Sunday trading, another thing that comes into it. We don't sit down and eat meals together anymore. There was a time, and Kevin and James and I are very careful to do it. Every meal that is had at home is had as a family. Even if it's just a sandwich at lunchtime, we will have it together
we
in
do
the
as a
kitchen.
family. It's really, really important.
Talking is so key. And what this has led me on to is we've got an older generation that feels they're not heard. The number of times you talk to a 75-year-old and they say, I don't feel anybody listens to me anymore. And you've got a younger generation who say, I don't feel anybody's listening to me either. And the truth is we're not taking time to listen to one another. So what we're finding with Out of the Ashes, that the whole thing is becoming about take time to spend time together. And sometimes that's time doing nothing. And sometimes it's time doing something.
And reconnecting. Just reconnecting.
All the generations.
Yeah.
80. We have a lady called Betsy, who we know lovingly as Granny, who goes to church with me. And I remember talking about this thing about growing old, and she sidled up to me and said, do you know what? It just keeps getting better.
Oh.
And I found that amazing because I knew that the year before she'd lost her son, he died, and the year before that she'd lost her husband. So I had to sort of say, Betsy, can I interview about this, please? And she said to me that she feels such value now because every Sunday she comes to church and God will show her who he needs her to get beside.
So she feels valued.
As a mentor, she's the most phenomenal mentor. We have a nation full of mentors, and they're not getting the opportunity.
It's very easy, isn't it, to feel invisible sometimes.
Yes.
And I just think they always say that you should have 11 hugs a day. So I do try to hug a lot, and that really boosts your happiness, your happy hormones, and it's supposed to be really uplifting. And you think if you're isolated or you're living alone or you've lost your family, imagine how isolating and lonely that can be. So next time you see somebody, give them a hug.
Pay them a compliment.
Just be careful.
Pay them a compliment. But it's meal times together. So, and I'm sure you've got. I feel as though this is a small part of a bigger conversation, but I think it's one as a nation we really need to start having. And I would so love to hear your thoughts and your feedback on this.
Yeah, or stories. I mean, we have the most lovely person that comes into the school, and he is just gorgeous. I'm sure he won't mind me saying, Trevor. Hi, Trevor. And he is just so lovely, and he connects really well with the children. The children really connect with them.
Can I just ask how old Trevor is?
I think, I could offend him here now, couldn't he? But he's well into his 70s, so later 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I've heard about somebody else who helps with the children's group, youth group over at Stonehouse, and he is 90. He does 100 press-ups a day.
Good lad.
He drives a cool car. He's a really snappy dresser. Are we allowed to say that now?
Yeah, I think so.
Snappy dresser. The kids love him.
Yeah.
He is so cool. Because the thing is, we need to give our kids somewhere to go. We need to show them this is what a happy marriage looks like. We need to show them this is what a fulfilled retirement looks like.
Yeah.
We need to give them a sense of this is where I can go. This is something I can look forward to.
Positive role models.
Positive
role models. So if you have any experiences or stories, or you know anyone who goes into schools or does something to reconnect all of those three generations, we would really love to hear about it, wouldn't we? It's
Cool.
just lovely. It's uplifting. Everybody feels happy. Our happy hormones. I'm into my happy hormones. Get released. So
And meanwhile, cook a meal and eat a meal together.
yeah, thank you.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
People live in poverty, children born in slavery. A world who live on rubbish heaps. You tell me you've got too much to do.